Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dave Alton from Strategic Information Resources. We are going to be talking about building your 2025 cybersecurity roadmap. This is a recorded session, and we will share this with anybody that asks for it. We're also going to have some handouts if you hang out to the end, and an email address that you can email to get those handouts if you're interested. We're going to give it about 5 minutes to let everybody join and get situated, and then we will start with our content. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started. As I said at the top, my name is Dave Alton. I am the Chief Technology Officer here at Strategic Information Resources. And today we are going to be talking about building your 2025 cybersecurity roadmap. We're going to be talking a lot about practical things and stuff like that. So feel free to take notes, but we will have some handouts if you stick around to the end of the meeting. We'll give you a special email address that you'll be able to get some info from. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So who we are, we're a managed service provider here in the Southern California area. We service pretty much anywhere in the United States. Our big contingent here is in Southern California. We have a team of about 18 technicians and admin staff to support around 150 clients. We really strive hard to just make tech work. We know it's a pain and difficult most days. So we like to say, we make tech work, and communication is the foundation of everything that we do. We are always taking a cybersecurity first approach in everything that we do. So whenever we're implementing new tools or procedures, we're always thinking about how does that play into security. So today's agenda is we're going to walk away with a plan, a 90-day plan. This is cybersecurity is always talked about as a journey. This is the start of your journey, right? So we're gonna throw some things out there that hopefully will get you on the path to being cyber secure in 2025. And there's no such thing as perfect security. So we want to get closer to it, though. We always want to strive for it. So we're always trying to, hey, let's tweak this, let's add that. So think about it like 1% better. I just want to get 1% better at how I handle cybersecurity. And we're going to have a 90-day action plan that we can kind of walk through, where we break it down into kind of bite-sized chunks, and you guys can attack that in your day-to-day lives or in your businesses. So why is cybersecurity important? I think this probably is an obvious answer, and there doesn't need to be a whole lot of discussion. But what we're seeing is, probably 5 years ago, it was really just big business that was being attacked by cyber criminals, malware, ransomware, business email compromise. And what has happened is that in the past, 4 years, especially, we've really seen cyber criminals. They don't care anymore. They want to get money, and the easiest way to do that is to attack people that don't have any money to spend on cybersecurity. So this cybersecurity first approach is something that we really harp on. And a single breach can it doesn't just damage a business, it can irreparably damage a business, right? It can change your reputation. It can make it such that people don't want to do business with you anymore. The fines have gotten ridiculous if there's gross negligence found and things like that. So we really want to, as much as possible, avoid a cybersecurity incident. But more importantly, if they happen, when they happen, probably is, make sure that we're dealing with it properly and quickly, recognizing that it's there, and then, dealing with the aftermath. So in our kind of cybersecurity first approach, some of the best practices are really, kind of simple. So first and foremost, we conduct a risk assessment. So you just go in, you identify your critical assets. Some would say all your assets, and I would agree with that. You look for any kind of potential threat, any vulnerabilities that may be in the environment. You understand those elements, and then based on what you find, you start to develop your cybersecurity efforts and prioritize what we like to say low-hanging fruit, right? simple things like, hey, do I have 2FA turned on for everything that I do business with? Or if I don't, if I can't turn on 2FA, which is, not, it's less and less common that you can't turn it on these days, but let's say I can't for some reason. The other idea is, okay, what mitigating, control or what compensating control can I put into practice to keep that from being a problem? So you're going to really kind of identify what's your data flow, what things get touched, how do you transact business, and then what assets are used to do that, and then what do I need to make sure is protected and why. So the next thing is we really want to start to establish some policies and putting protections in place around data protection, what employees are responsible, how do you respond to an incident, so an incident response plan. And then you want to kind of regularly adopt those, or I'm sorry, not adopt. You want to regularly update those and make sure that they're adapting to any kind of changes or things that are happening in the marketplace. One good example of this is business email compromise, which is by far the most prevalent form of cybersecurity incidents that we see today. And a simple policy is if you're going to make a financial transaction of any size, somebody's changing their W-2, someone's, asking for new bank account information, new ACH information, they're putting a new credit card number on file, any financial transaction, anything that has you sending money somewhere, take a minute and verify it, right? Pick up the phone, call a known good contact at a known good number, not what you got in the email, and say, hey, did you send me this? Yeah? Oh, okay, sweet. Let me make those changes, right? It's really a 2-second thing. And we just saw this last month with a nonprofit here in the Los Angeles area that sent $300,000 offshore, and they are never going to see that money again. And it's an awful situation for a nonprofit to be in. And to have that money be gone and then still owe whatever money that they need to pay to vendors or whoever else were asking for that. So I'm not going to get into the total circumstances, but a simple policy of saying, hey, employee, if you get an email that says change this information, always call and verify it. It would have never happened. They would have found out, it's not Bob that's sending me that. It's somebody from Dubai. And I need to not have that transaction happen, right? And when you have those policies, you really want to start to educate and train your employees in that. I think that goes without saying, but recognizing that you have to take some time and explain what it is that you need to do for your employees or yourself to make sure you're educated enough to not fall victim to these attacks is critically important. So, hey, you've developed this policy. Do your employees know about it, right? Is your staff following it? Are you following it, right? We've seen business owners send money off and not realize, oh, that was not something I should have done. So the other thing is implement strong access controls. So this is really where we want to go in. We want to establish 2FA for all accounts, limit access to sensitive information based on the employee's role, right? You don't necessarily, not everybody needs access to everything. The example I use is, I'm the chief technology officer here at Sirinc. I have my fingers in almost everything. I don't really interact with a lot of the tools directly in a way that requires me to have global admin access on our systems. So I don't, right? And some people see that as kind of a status symbol and hey, I should have that because I'm kind of the boss or I kind of run things. But honestly, I have no need for it. I don't do that kind of work. I have other people that do that kind of work and they are the ones that have that level of access. The other one is, and we see this all the time with business owners that have kind of started doing their own IT. They go to GoDaddy, they sign up for, Office 365, or they'll go to Microsoft's website and they sign up for it and they set themselves as global admin. And they don't realize that you should never, ever, ever have your account that has global admin access also be what we call your daily driver. The email address you actually get emailed to, you respond from, and things like that. Because if a bad guy were to get a business email compromise, and your account is a global administrator, oh, all bets are off and bad things are going to happen. Number five is, hey, keep your system and software updated, right? Regularly check for updates. This is pretty easy to do in almost all the modern operating systems, but also think about it on your phones and on your tablets and your mobile devices, right? Those need to be updated regularly too. The other thing that we see is Internet of Things. So your Wi-Fi access points connect up all kinds of like fun stuff. Like we have a smart lock and we have a Nest thermostat and we have, some, control mechanisms for our fridge and microwave and washing machine, and they all connect up to the internet. Problem is that those devices a lot of times didn't necessarily have all the security practices in place, and they could be pathways into your network. So we like to talk about network segmentation and putting stuff that doesn't need to have access to the entirety of the network into, hey, they just need internet access and it's not really something I'm going to interact with in that way. Just, pop that out into a guest domain and let them go wild and do their thing, knowing that, hey, if something bad happens on those, it's likely not going to blow back onto my primary network. So number six, and again, this is something that we see all the time, backup regularly, right? Perform data backups. Make sure you're doing it on time, scheduled. It's straightforward and really a simple way to protect yourself when you do have to recover from a cyber incident. Or, we're in the Southern California area. There were a lot of businesses and homes that lost everything, right, in the fires recently. And while it's a sad situation, it's even worse when you figure out, oh, I don't have the pictures that I wanted, or I didn't grab my computer because it was unsafe, and you never really back that data up, right? Take the time, back up the data, make sure that it's in a secure location, it's encrypted, it's following a lot of the backup protocols that we, implement, but make sure you're backing it up, because if some of those things are irreplaceable and they're only located on your local machine, right? Secure your network. We talked about this a little bit, right? You shouldn't have any open Wi-Fi access to your network. Don't let just anyone get on, right? It's, hey, you got to put a password in. You got to know my information to get in there, to allow for someone to actually traverse your network, see what's there, and things like that. If you provide open access through, a open Wi-Fi access point, it's like you may as well just be like, hey, bad guys, come just take everything. I don't care. You really do want to monitor and respond to incidents. So that this one's a little trickier, a little tougher. I mean, as an MSP, we're very geared for managing, monitoring, and responding to incidents. For people that are, this is your only machine or you're a sole proprietor and you don't have a lot of know-how, really starting to pay attention to hey, are things updated? Did we have any weird activity happen on our email account? Knowing how to go in and do those things is really, really important. And always, you can ask for help in that type of stuff. One of the other ones that we talk about is taking a look at a cybersecurity framework, right? So there's some free tools out there that you can get from the government, such as NIST. Has a whole set of frameworks depending on what you're doing. CIS, which is a very prescriptive set of controls on how to protect and manage your infrastructure. You can look at FTC safeguards. They have some very good documentation on the FTC website. We subscribe to something called the GTIA Trustmark, which is a set of cybersecurity controls based around CIS that allow us to make sure our internal infrastructure is protected so that our clients are protected, and making sure that that stuff is really, really easily managed and taken care of. These frameworks start to provide that path for, hey, am I doing things right? And so pay attention to those and find ones that are useful for your business and that make sense to follow. I talked about this a little bit already, but one of the bonus action steps that we talk about is like verify all financial transactions. We see this through ACH, we see it through payroll requests, we see it through a bunch of different kind of mechanisms, and they all boil down to one thing: people trying to steal money. And that's really all it is that they're trying to steal money. And it works really well, and it's really, really easy to do. And it doesn't take a whole lot of work. And it's so crazy how good AI has made the criminals sound that you kind of think I'm getting this from, Bob. Oh yeah, I know Bob. Bob's a good friend of mine, and we transact all the time, and we do business together all the time. And those kinds of things really make it hard to discern, hey, is this really coming from Bob? So really just picking up the phone, asking the question, hey, is this a legit, yes, we should do this or not, can save you so much time and effort as well as money. So we also wanted to talk about like, okay, if I'm going to do this, right, in 90 days, what should I be doing? So week 1 and 2, we'd strongly suggest, hey, update your passwords. Really go through your passwords, make sure that all your critical accounts are protected with a strong, unique password. I'm going to be very specific about that terminology: strong and unique. So there should be no accounts that share passwords, right? So you came up with a cool pattern. It's a really great password. Password 123, awesome, great job. You shouldn't use password 123 except for the one account that you have it on. You should use password 1234. But Dave, that password 123 is really not a safe password. No, it's not. And it's not super complex, right? It doesn't have a lot of things for the bad guys to not be able to guess. So the other thing is, we tell everyone, not only should it be unique, but it should be, strong. It should have a special character. It should have a capital letter, should have a lowercase letter, should have at least one number in it. All of those things make it a much more challenging password to crack. And as long as you make it 12 characters, and I kind of subscribe to the 16 character rule, 16 characters or more, with current technology, it takes hundreds of years to crack those passwords. The trick is, you're probably not going to be able to remember them. So get a password manager, keep track of those things. It's easier to share with your family, easier to share with your business colleagues. It keeps things protected in a way that makes sense. And it doesn't have, if you find a password has been compromised, chances are I just need to go change one password that was compromised, not every password I've ever used across the internet. And when we say share passwords, I don't mean like share passwords, but my wife and I have a couple of passwords that are in common that we both use, and those are considered shared passwords. Try and keep those to a minimum, but we understand how life works, and in your personal life, it's probably a little better. In business, we try really hard to say, hey, unique sign-ons for each user, but that also doesn't always work out. So, but using a password manager is a much more secure way to share those passwords than, say, the bulletin board on the fridge, right? Like, that's probably not a great place to share a password. Turn on multi-factor authentication. Like, week 1, you've updated your passwords, great. Week 2, go turn on multi-factor authentication. And I mean everywhere: social media accounts, your email, your personal email. Make sure that is turned on at every place that you can literally turn it on, because even those social media accounts, it's so easy to trick people into thinking, oh, hey, I have a new email, and then they start interacting with that email, and they're really interacting with a bad guy. And next thing you know, they're using your reputation, your trust with your friends, family, business colleagues to, basically allow them to take advantage of you, right? Or of them. All right, week 3, 4, security devices, right? Let's update that software and the operating systems, make sure all the devices have the latest updates. And then let's get antivirus turned on everything, right? If it's got a heartbeat and it can run a program, make sure you're protected, right? And that includes your mobile devices, right? Increasingly, we're seeing more and more mobile devices be attacked with malware and things like that. So get into those systems, make sure that you've got some kind of antivirus protection in place. And make sure that's set to update regularly, right? You don't want to like find out that your antivirus tools haven't been updated in like 6 months. It's bad. All right, week 5, 6. Let's jump into protecting your data, right? Back up your important data, right? And then make sure that your devices are encrypted, right? This is for your backups. This is for your local machine. This is for laptops. This is for phones. Everything should be encrypted both at rest and in motion, is what I like to say. Week 7 and 8, make sure your online presence is secure, right? Go in, take a look at those social media settings, right? Make sure that you've got them locked down in a way that makes sense for you and how you want to operate on the internet, and that you're not giving away all kinds of information that we don't necessarily want everybody having, right? Vigilance against phishing, right? Learn how to see what a phishing attack is, right? Learn some of the telltale signs. Look for, hey, that email address, it's close, but it's not quite the email address I'm expecting, right? I trust no one, right? Let's go X-Files and just say we're trusting no one anymore. If you get an email, trust but verify. Make sure that it is from who you think it's from. And for just slow down. We see all too often the reason why someone got hacked or business email compromise happened was they were just moving quickly, right? They were looking at their phone, their email on the phone. It's hard to see what address. I have old eyes, and if I don't have glasses on and I'm holding the phone like 6 feet away from me, I still probably can't read it all that well. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. Looks like it's from so and so. No, put the glasses on, take 2 extra seconds, make sure. Yeah, yep, that's actually from Dave. It's not from someone else. Weeks 9 and 10, you're going to secure your network, right? Strengthen your Wi-Fi security. We talked about this as, kind of a best practice. Make sure that you have strong encryption turned on. You have a robust password for accessing your Wi-Fi device or your Wi-Fi network, right? Make sure all routers and things that access your internet, they do not have the common passwords. Like, I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you have a Netgear device, right, a router that's in your house, chances are I know the password because you never changed it, because that sits on the internet, lives everywhere, everybody knows what it is, right? I think now we're starting to see manufacturers put in unique passwords for those devices. But even still, I would change those to something that that's saved in your password manager. If you need to use your network while away, so this is more business than personal, but if you need to get into your systems, use a VPN, right? Or a SASE product, something that protects the encryption between your device that's located on the internet and your network that is behind your firewall or protected by some kind of router or device, right? Take the time, make sure that you're using VPN. Try really hard to stay away from public networks. We still see Starbucks be one of the most easy ways for bad guys to get access to various computers and other devices, because people are using kind of open Wi-Fi. Week 11 and 12, really stay vigilant, right? Monitor financial accounts. Oftentimes you kind of know what's happening with your bank. You don't always go in and check. Like, it's probably a good idea to check and make sure at least once a month, hey, anything unauthorized come in? Did I see any kind of, accounts that are doing things that I'm not expecting, right? You can also set up alerts for most banks and really a lot of things now that say, hey, if you see this kind of thing happening, let me know, right? We see this a lot with credit cards and transactions. And then, continue to stay educated on emerging threats. It's really easy. You can literally type emerging threats into Google and you can kind of see what's happening in the workplace, in business, and at an individual level. But more often than not, it's still, most attacks start with some form of email hack or email compromise. So really, really pay attention to are your are you watching for the latest in phishing tactics and techniques and things like that? So what are some of our key takeaways? So cybersecurity is critical for small business. And whether that's, just you as a sole proprietor, as an individual, and you have an Etsy shop or something like that, it's critical that you maintain that cybersecurity criticality, because small business is the primary target for most hackers today. Yeah, they're looking to land a big fish just like everybody else and, take down Target or Home Depot or something along those lines. But the reality is they can get a lot more small businesses to pony up, 10, 20, $40,000, right? Which aren't astronomical amounts of money, but really help fund their capabilities, right? Um, Take some actions, right? The 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 to You want to start on this. It's not enough to say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to change my path. This is like the resolutions. I'm going to lose 15 pounds this year. Or I'm going to stop drinking or stop smoking or whatever your resolution is, right? And they fall off relatively quickly. And what we really want to do with this is make this a mindset, make this a cybersecurity first approach. Be always thinking about cybersecurity. Am I doing this the best way? Is it managed well? Do I have any, gaping holes that I need to deal with? Make sure that you're protecting all of those things in that cybersecurity first approach mindset. And then start taking action. We did some really interesting calls through Cybersecurity Awareness Month, where we were just telling people, look, go out and do this. Go out and do this today. It's something you do right now, right? Figure out your asset list. What are all the things that you have that connect to the internet, that live in your house, that should be protected in some way, shape, or form? Just go do that today. It probably won't take you even like an hour to do it all, right? If it's your house. If it's your business, hey, it might be a little bit more. You might have to go look at your router and see, hey, what are all the things that are connected to my router? But start to make that list, start to understand, because if you don't know what's in your environment and what's there, it's really, really hard to protect it. And then do one of those every day. Just do simple things. I'm going to change my password. I'm going to turn on an MFA for one account every day this year. Just one account every day. You'll get 1% better along the path. And again, we're not looking for perfection. I should say, we're always striving for perfection, but don't let perfection be the enemy of getting it done, right? We want to get it done. Just because we can't do it perfectly today doesn't mean we can't continue to get better and better. You got to start, and you got to start somewhere. Lock down your social accounts, right? I'm going to make sure that all my social medias, I've got all my privacy settings turned on correctly. Take a minute and do that. And this is where we come to, if you email info@sirinc.com, I know it's not really all that complex of a email address, but we will send you a couple free handouts, one that talks about the 90-day action plan, and then one that talks a little bit about the cybersecurity first approach. And we'll get those out to you right away. Carly, who's on here, has done a great job of designing those, and we're happy to share them with anybody that wants them. So email info@sirinc.com, and then just in the subject, put 90-day action plan, and we will get both those handouts out to you. So one of the other ways that you can enhance your cybersecurity is use an MSP. Preferably us, nothing personal to all the other MSPs that might be listening to this, but we know what we're doing, as do most MSPs, and we have that cyber first mindset, and we really take the relationship seriously, and we're really looking for long-term relationships. We are a team of solutionists. Everybody's looking to solve problems in our organization, and cybersecurity is one of the bigger ones that we tackle on a regular basis. So I know we have a few people on here. I wanted to open it up to questions real quick and see if we had any questions in either the Q&A or the chat. I don't see any as of yet. So we'll give it just a minute, and if we see any come through, we'll go ahead and take those up. And just because people, this, kind of the end of the session here, but if you do have questions, you can email us at info at, you can also email me personally, Dave at Sirinc.com. Happy to take your questions that you may have. So where do you go from here? So you can try and piece all this together yourself. We kind of say this every session that we talk about. It's not impossible, and I would suggest that you do pieces of this. If you're not 100% or you want a plan that you can follow better, partner with somebody, right? You partner with us, but there's lots of qualified MSPs that are out there that have the capability to make sure that you're taking these cybersecurity first approaches, and then also making sure your technology works, right? And that's what we're really good at. So next steps, you can go here, and if you're interested in having us help you book a strategy session, I will be happy to get on with you and walk through whatever your questions are regarding cybersecurity for your business, yourself, or in any other way, shape, or form. I wanted to let everybody know, I think this is our last slide. Next month, we are going to be having a discussion around Windows 10 being no more. So if you're running Windows 10 devices, yes, you should start to worry. October, you don't have a lot of time. We're going to be going through like how do you tackle upgrading your fleet of computers. We're going to talk a lot about what are some of the ramifications if you don't update, and then, hey, what are some of the tricks that you can get to update your machines more quickly. And we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the hardware requirements for Windows 11 that were not required in Windows 10. So you may actually need new hardware. But that's all next month. So check our LinkedIn post. We're going to have a lot of info there. And we'll have a similar session like this at the end of the month. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you all for your time. And if you do have any questions, please email us. And if you want to book a cybersecurity strategy session, you can check it out at this link here. We really appreciate everybody's time. Hope everybody has a fantastic day, and we'll look forward to talking to everybody next month. Have a great one, everyone.